The episode you're about to spend the next few minutes or so listening to isn't going to be my normal kind of episode. In fact, it isn't going to sound like any episode of The Human Factor that I've ever done. I'm not angry, and I didn't wake up wanting to argue with people. And certainly not because I think I'm smarter than anyone listening. The difference between this episode and every other one I've made rests entirely in your hands. Some of you are going to appreciate what I'm about to say. Some of you are going to disagree with it. Some of you may even become angry before I'm halfway through. A few of you might shut the episode off altogether. And that's your choice. It's always been your choice. But before you do, I'd ask you do something that very few of us ever take the time to do. Instead of immediately asking yourself whether I'm right or wrong, ask yourself something much more difficult. Why is it that what was just said made me feel the way that it did? Because maybe this episode isn't about me at all. Maybe it's about you. Or maybe I should just say it plainly. What triggers you? It's fascinating to me how two people can sit side by side, hear the exact same sentence, and walk away with completely different emotional experiences. One person laughs, the other shrugs their shoulders. Another feels inspired. Someone else becomes furious. The words never changed, the listener did. Which makes me wonder if the things that offend us aren't always about the words themselves, but about what those words collide with inside of us. We live in a world that has become obsessed with protecting people from discomfort. Yet, discomfort has always been one of humanity's greatest teachers. Every breakthrough you've ever experienced began with something uncomfortable. Every lesson that truly changed your life probably started with your ego being challenged, your assumptions being questioned, or even your certainty being shaken. Growth has never been polite. It has never knocked gently on the front door and asked if now would be convenient time to rearrange your beliefs. Growth usually kicks the door open while your pride is still standing in the hallway. The thing about being human is that we almost never question our emotional reactions. We trust them immediately. If I feel offended, someone must have offended me. If I feel judged, someone must be judging me. If I feel attacked, someone must be attacking me. But emotions were never designed to be judges. They're just messengers. Sometimes they're carrying the truth. Other times they're carrying fear. Sometimes they're carrying childhood wounds that have followed us into adulthood, or they're carrying insecurities we've spent years pretending don't exist. The intensity of an emotion doesn't automatically make it accurate. It simply makes it loud. And loud things are often mistaken for important things. Think about the last time someone made a comment that stayed with you for hours after the conversation had ended. Maybe they didn't even mean anything by it. Maybe they forgot they even said it. Yet somehow those words moved into your mind and unpacked their bags. They sat with you while you drove home. They showed up while you brushed your teeth. They climbed into bed beside you that night. Meanwhile, the person who said them was probably eating dinner completely unaware they had become the main character in your thoughts. That's an incredible amount of power to hand to another human being. Somewhere along the way, their words found something inside of you that was already tender. They didn't create the wound. They simply touched it. Maybe that's why some people can't stand confident people. Not because confidence is offensive, but because it reminds them of the confidence they wish that they had. Maybe that's why success irritates some people. It's not that success is ugly, it's that it forces them to confront the dreams they abandoned years ago. Maybe kindness makes someone uncomfortable because deep down they don't believe they deserve kindness themselves. Maybe criticism feels unbearable because some people spent their childhood believing love had to be earned through perfection. We spend so much time trying to change the world around us that we rarely stop to ask why certain parts of that world have such a power over us in the first place. Now, before anyone misunderstands me, this isn't me saying that every criticism is your fault or that every painful experience is something you need to get over. There are cruel people. There are manipulative people. There are hateful people. There are words that wound because they were intended to wound. I'm not dismaying that reality. What I'm saying is that somewhere between genuine harm and harmless disagreement lies an opportunity that most of us completely miss. Every emotional reaction asks us a question before it gives an answer. The question is, why did this matter so much to me? And unfortunately, most of us have never stayed around long enough to hear it. We have become experts at defending ourselves before we've even understood ourselves. We interrupt, we argue, we type angry comments, we block people. We gather those who already agree with us so we never have to experience the discomfort of examining our own beliefs. It feels safe. It feels empowering. But safety has a cost. Every time we surround ourselves only with ideas that make us comfortable, we lose the ability to grow beyond the person we already are. Certainty feels wonderful, but certainty is often where curiosity goes to die. Sometimes I wonder if we've confused being challenged with being disrespected. There was a time when disagreement was simply just a disagreement. Now a disagreement is interpreted as a personal attack against our identity. We don't just defend our opinions anymore. We defend them as though they're extensions of who we are. If someone questions an idea, we hear them questioning our value. If someone disagrees with a belief, we feel as though they've rejected us entirely. And maybe that's because somewhere along the way, we stopped building identities rooted in character, and we started building identities rooted in opinions. The hardest truth I've had to learn is that my ego has never been interested in helping me grow. My ego only wants to be right. It doesn't care if I'm wiser tomorrow. It cares that I win today. It doesn't care if I become a better person. It cares that I appear to already be one. And if I'm honest, that's exhausting. Imagine carrying around a version of yourself that constantly needs to be protected, defended, justified, and validated all the time. No wonder we're tired. No wonder conversations feel like battlefields instead of opportunities to understand one another. We're not exchanging ideas anymore. We're protecting identities that have become incredibly fragile. What if the next time someone says something that immediately makes your heart race, instead of reaching out for outrage, you reach for curiosity? What if instead of saying, "How dare they?" you ask yourself, "Why did that affect me so deeply?" You might discover that the strongest emotional reactions often point towards the places within us that still need compassion, healing, and honesty. Sometimes life isn't exposing your weakness to embarrass you. Sometimes it's exposing it because it's finally time to heal it. So maybe this episode wasn't about offending you after all. Maybe it was about inviting you into one of the most difficult conversations you'll ever have. And that's the one you have to have with yourself. Because at the end of the day, I can't control what offends you. Nobody can. The world will continue saying things you don't like. People will continue disagreeing with you. Ideas will continue challenging you. The only thing you'll ever truly have control over is what happens inside of you after that moment arrives. And maybe that's the real human factor. We spend so much of our lives trying to change what everyone else says, believes, and does, while ignoring the one person we actually have the power to transform. The question has never really been whether the world will trigger you. It will. The question is whether every trigger becomes another wall you build around yourself, or another doorway leading you towards a version of yourself that's a little more honest, a little more humble, and a little more free. Because sometimes the greatest act of courage isn't proving someone else wrong. Sometimes it's admitting that the thing that offended you, it had something important to teach you after all. So now that I've got your attention, go out into the world this week and don't just pay attention to what makes you smile. Pay attention to what makes you uncomfortable. Pay attention to what makes you defensive. Pay attention to the moments that make you want to argue before you even understand why. Because those moments might just teach you more about yourself than all the compliments you've ever received. So until next time, be kind and smile like someone's watching, because they might be. I'll see you on the next one.